The following is an encore presentation of stories from the Dooralong Transformation Centre. It's Wednesday morning. We're joined by one of our fabulous guests from Dooralong Transformation Centre. And today we're joined by Jason. So good morning to you, Jason.
Morning.
Now then, Jason's one of these guys who's doing his second time around at Dooralong. That's right, isn't it, Jason?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah. So we'll have a look at Jason's journey and see what happened and where he is now. But we'll talk about Jason sort of just generally, really. So tell us a bit about yourself, Jason. Where were you? Where did you grow up? Were you a local lad?
No, I was born and bred in Musselbrook.
Oh, the Hunter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
21 years I spent there.
Right. Oh, that's hometown for you, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Good childhood, would you say?
Yeah, I wouldn't call it like the best childhood, but I mean it was the best of the ability that my mum and dad gave me.
Yeah, but it wasn't smiles all the way.
No, it wasn't. No.
So there you are, you're a young lad in Musselbrook, in the Hunter Valley. Some people would look at that and say, "Oh, that's a great place to grow up for kids, surrounded by the beautiful countryside there." But we also hear that Musselbrook and places like that, mining communities, lots of stress there, lots of social stress. Is that right?
Yes, there is. Yeah.
Yeah. So what was it, unemployment, that type of thing?
Employment, yeah. Well, I never really had much employment myself. Like, I grew up in the scene of alcohol and drugs straight off the bat, virtually. Like,
yeah. So, what age were you using?
What age? I started at the age of 15.
Yeah, that's young, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you remember the first time?
Yeah. Actually, well, it kicked off a bit earlier than that. I remember my big brother sitting in my room, to be precise, and they were smoking marijuana.
Yeah.
And I walked in from. I just come home from school, and my brother passed me this bottle and said, "Here, smoke this." And I thought, I had no idea what it was or what was going on, and gave me the lighter and that, and then told me to put my finger over the back of the hole of the bottle, and boom, I didn't know what was happening. It was sort of, my mum walked in the room and thought my brother killed me.
Yeah, wow. So you sort of really knocked you out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Big brothers are meant to be role models, but you don't really want to role model in that way, do you?
No.
It's not a good thing to model to a younger brother. So how old would you be?
I would have been about 8 then.
8?
Yeah.
Gee. Yeah. But you weren't a regular user at that age?
No.
But by 15?
By 15, that's when everything took its toll. Like, I started out with alcohol, marijuana, and then it led into amphetamines. Yeah.
And over how long a period of time are we talking here before it got really serious for you?
Virtually the alcohol took off very seriously straight away. Yeah, it was something I loved, something I enjoyed. I don't know where it come from, but I mean that was just it was all around me, and I think at the time that was the way I seen life. That was what a normal life was, to drink and use other drugs.
And for teenagers, I mean, alcohol is not hard to get hold of, is it?
No.
It's really easy. So it's there, it's available, and you used it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bit of a personal question, Jason. Why? Is there something you're trying to mask or block out or escape from?
Yes, I think you're on the right path. Yeah, it was a lot to do with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, my upbringing as well. I never spoke to my parents about anything, and I copped the raw end of the stick for everybody else's mistakes too. So
yeah. So there was stuff happening at home for you.
Yeah, and it was just the way I was. I just took the trouble. Got in trouble for everybody else's mistakes, really.
Yeah. And I heard you talking earlier. You were saying that you thought this was a factor, that being a man or coming from that sort of family, it wasn't a family in which men opened up about their feelings and spoke about their feelings.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, my father was a very strong man.
Yeah.
That he was an alcoholic most of I don't know how long of his life, but my mum gave him an alternative. I remember when I was a young boy, it either was the alcohol or the children, and my father gave up the alcohol.
Yeah. But it wasn't a family where you could admit your, in inverted commas, weaknesses or anything like that.
No, that's right.
Yeah, because we hear so much now, don't we? I mean, on the TV and with sort of sporting stars and sort of media stars, they're opening up much more about their mental health problems and sort of saying, look, you know, this is part of being human. We have problems from time to time, but that didn't happen in your family.
No.
No. So you're sort of self-medicating really with this.
Yeah, that's the easiest way out you could put it. Yeah, I self-medicated to take away the pain, the hurt.
Yeah.
Or virtually all the problems that I had going on.
Yeah. Were you working?
No, I was unemployed for most of my teenage life. I did a lot of things on my own. I did a lot of TAFE courses.
Okay.
I was in and out of courses. I was doing that on my own back.
So you had hopes for the future?
Yeah, I did, yeah.
You wanted to trade? You wanted to do well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And because of my background too, like being an alcoholic and a user, I was never dishonest about it. I was always honest up front, and sometimes that got me nowhere. Like, it was very hard to being a drug addict and alcoholic.
Yeah.
To go to a place where you could be employed,
And that must be a problem in not just Musselburgh, but small communities where everybody knows everybody else.
Yeah.
People would get to know that, Jason's got problems, give him a wide berth. So it was hard to find a job.
Yeah, I actually got some work through my father's friends that he knew on farms and stuff.
Yeah.
I was capable of going to work. Even though I was honest, they still gave me that chance. I never stole, I never did anything wrong, but the only problem I had was I used to drink or use other drugs. And, that went all right for quite some time. Okay,
yeah. But then it didn't go quite so right. What happened?
I just went downhill. It just spiraled out of control.
Yeah.
Like the alcohol and other drugs just took its toll, and I quite found them more enjoyable than doing a normal day average lifestyle thing like working or looking for work. So I just stayed unemployed.
Yeah. It was in the state of mind that you were, it was an attractive sort of alternative to reality.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where did you get your money from to do all the strokes?
My big brother, virtually, that's where it all started. Like, through him, I didn't need money. He looked after me. Then you got your unemployed benefits.
Yeah.
Which wouldn't last very long. It'd last me a day if that, when it was payday.
Yeah.
But I had quite substantial amount of friends through my big brother. That I didn't have to pay for anything virtually to support my habit.
It was too easy, really, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was there on tap for you whenever you needed it.
Yeah.
It was there. Yeah, and you're a young guy now, in your sort of teens, 20s. You having relationships. Did you get married? Did you have relationships?
Yeah. From the age in my 20s, yes, I met a wonderful woman.
Yeah.
I never thought, it was one of my wildest dreams, never to get married. And I ended up actually getting married to a lovely woman.
Yeah.
That down the track she's a mother, I'm a father of 5 children. I had 5 children with her.
Yeah.
But I was dishonest from the word go.
In what way dishonest?
When you get married, to tell the truth and to do all that, the stuff that comes with that.
Yeah.
I hid something from her that hurt me for many years. I carried in my heart was that I used needles.
Right. So that was the dark secret, and that you injected.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so the sort of addiction you had started to eat away at the relationship.
Yeah. Yeah. It was that, as well as quite a number of other things. We had the issues.
Yeah.
And that we never really. We see counselling once or twice, marriage counselling, but it did no good because I just used to take the blame for everything, even though it wasn't, it wasn't my fault at the time. But that's the easiest way I felt how to deal with things, was just take the blame like I always have, and just copped it.
Sort of path of least resistance.
Yeah.
So here are you now, you're sort of married, you've got a family, but there's still the dominant and the most important thing in your life still seems to be the drugs and the alcohol and the injections.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a sad story, isn't it?
It is, yes.
Yeah, but one that's all too common, I guess.
Mm.
Yeah. Are you still living in Musselburgh at this time?
No, I've removed myself from there, and I went down to, well, I was at Singleton, but yeah, the drugs, it got the best of me. Like, you know, I ended up in the mental health through through all this, through like psychiatrists and all the rest of it, and I ended up in doing a bit of time in prison.
So that's really, I guess that's a warning to people out there that are sort of starting with drugs or thinking about doing drugs. It can lead to, you know, psychosis and hearing voices and, you know, seeing things that aren't there. Yeah,
it can lead to very dark places. Yeah. Like, you know, living with the devil virtually, living on the dark side of the world, which is very uncomfortable. It's at the time you mightn't realise it, but it's a very nasty place to be. It's
a funny thing, they call these recreational drugs, don't they? You know, as if it's something, you know, a pleasant Sunday afternoon, like a picnic. It's a recreational drug, but if it induces psychosis and then you end up in a mental health hospital, it's scary, isn't it?
It is very scary. You lose everybody around you, your loved ones, you know. All your dignity, you lose virtually everything.
Yeah. And you said you're living with the devil, you're living on the dark side.
Yeah, I used to, not no longer.
No, but that's how it felt at the time.
Yeah. At the time it was just misery. Like there was no happiness about it whatsoever.
So every day there's no pleasure left in your life, it's just getting money to score drugs and get through the day and repeat it the next day.
Yeah, and if you're very lucky to get through that.
Yeah.
I had stages there where it got that bad where, you know, I've even thought about, like, you know, ending my own life.
Yeah. Yeah, we've had people from Dooralong before who said it's such a miserable, wretched existence, that so hopeless that they do have thoughts of taking their own life.
Yeah.
This is what drugs can do for you. Yeah. Look, we're going to break for some music. As we've touched there on that issue of suicide, just a reminder that our beautiful friends down at Lifeline, if you're having issues yourself or if it's triggered issue, that's us 94.9 Rima Central Coast. We're talking to Jason this morning from Dooralong. We looked at Jason's early life and his descent, I guess that's the way of putting it, into drug addiction and alcohol, all the rest of it, how it's messed up relationships for him, and life, we heard just before that break, was like living on the dark side, you were saying, Jason, living with the devil.
Yes, that's right.
But we know you've been to Dooralong. So, what led you from living on that dark side to believing that you were going to have to do something about it?
Well, it all started a year and a half ago. This is the first time I ever came to Dooralong.
Yeah.
My sister was going out with a young gentleman that was doing transformation at the time.
Oh, okay.
And he gave. Oh, he spoke to me about it a fair bit, actually.
Yeah, I guess he would.
And I just avoided it because I done counselling most of my life, in and out of counsellors, drug and alcohol counsellors, and they never did nothing like, you know, for me really. They didn't relate to where I was coming from. You know, they did the best they could, but it just weren't good enough for me.
Yeah. And so you were listening to be polite.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and then I made it to Dooralong. But I did it, like I said before, I did it for all the wrong reasons. I did it to keep my my mum and dad happy, you know, my partner, you know, do the right thing for my kids.
So the pressure was not from within yourself, it was from outside. It was mum and dad, it was your partner. You've got to go to Dooralong, otherwise you're going to lose everything. So
yeah, that's correct. Yeah, and
so you were ticking a box.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the first time you were at Dooralong, what didn't you do?
What didn't I do? Virtually the suggested things that they were asking for me to do. Yeah. I just did what I needed to, and necessary things, and like you say, ticking the boxes, you know.
Yeah.
I only lasted 5 months.
Well, that's quite a short time, because most of the guys we speak to, it's sort of 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 months.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you were saying the right things.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Did you know in your own heart of hearts that your heart wasn't really in this, you know?
Yeah, I knew you know, my head might felt like it was, but my heart was nowhere near it. You know, I weren't ready to give up. I weren't ready to stop doing what I was doing.
So you could honestly say that that was the case, that even coming out after 5 months, you knew there was a good chance you were going to go back.
I actually had it already planned out in my head what what was going to happen when I even walked out of them gates.
So you had a plan.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you were in Dooralong receiving all the therapy and the treatment, but secretly in bed at night you were making plans of how you're going to go back on the drugs when you left.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
It tells you a lot, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah. So the inevitable would have happened. What happened when you came out?
When I came out, I lasted a few months and just went straight back into what I knew what was best thing for me at the time.
Yeah.
Which was not the right thing, but it was my way of coping with the real world.
Yeah. So when you got out, you found all those pressures were still there? All the temptations were still there?
Yeah, everything was still there, you know, no one changed.
So it was just 5 months on, but nothing could really change within you or outside?
No, I that was my first attempt ever to get really, you know, to do anything to be clean.
Yeah.
And I just weren't ready. It was a hard thing to break, but...
Yeah. You must have felt that when you did relapse after that first time around, you must have thought, there's nothing that's ever going to help me. You know, I've been there for 5 months and it's not worked. You know, there's nothing that can change me.
Actually, being in Dooralong that short period of time, it was never the same again. But when I was using drugs, it was never the same because I kept hold of what I learnt in Dooralong. So it never felt the same, you know. And
in what way didn't it feel the same?
I didn't enjoy it.
Didn't enjoy it?
Yeah, as much as I used to. Like there was something that I took on board from Dooralong.
Yeah.
That ingrained in me, like, you know, what I had learnt. That it just never felt the same again.
So that first time at Dooralong, it shouldn't be looked upon as a failed attempt. It did teach you something.
Yeah.
So that when you were taking drugs after you came out, you weren't enjoying it in the way that you had done previously.
Yeah.
So some of it, so a change was already taking place within you.
Yeah, the seed was planted actually.
The seed had been planted. Yeah. So tell us about that gap between Dooralong 1 and Dooralong 2. You're taking drugs. Had you gone back to your old hometown? Back to Muswellbrook or Singleton?
I was floating between Muswellbrook, Singleton, and Aberdeen. This is another little further up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just floating all over the place.
Do you think that's a mistake, going back to where you know your previous life and all the temptations are still there?
As hard as it is, yes, it was a mistake.
Yeah.
It was the biggest mistake I ever made.
Yeah. Sounds as if you won't make that mistake a second time.
No, I have plans for, you know, it's as hard as it is, my children and my family are up that way.
Yeah.
I can't ever say never, but I totally don't want to go back.
Yeah. You got to get yourself looked after, keep yourself clean.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've slipped off the wagon. I don't know whether that's the right way of putting it for drugs, but what happened? Did you just ring Dooralong and say, can I come back? Or did somebody sort of give Dooralong a ring on your behalf? How did you end up there a second time?
I did the same thing. I got in contact with Dooralong.
Yeah.
Prior, also being in prison as well. That's where I got sent from there. But it was on my heart to, you know, I need to change the lifestyle that I was living because...
Yeah. What's you can tell me, nobody's listening. What was Dooralong's attitude when you ring up and say, look, you know, can I come back? Is there any element of, well, we told you so about them?
Yeah, no, there was nothing like that. They're quite welcome with open arms, you know. That they are...
No judgment?
No, there was none of that.
No blame?
No, it was just, you know, just a waiting time.
That's brilliant, isn't it? Because, I mean, we talk about a God of second chances and a God that doesn't hold grudges, and it sounds like exactly the same policy that they have down at Dooralong.
Yeah, no, they're quite well, you know, they're open with open arms, you know. It's a lovely, you know, they're a lovely management team there.
Yeah. I know you've got a special message for the guys at Dooralong, which we'll get onto in just a moment, but before we get there, how do you think things are progressing now in Dooralong 2, shall we call it? What's different about your stay there now than previously?
I actually want what Dooralong has on offer.
Yeah.
And it's a magnificent place. You couldn't ask for a better place, really, to you know, to be. And I actually, virtually just put it all down to that I want, that what's on offer.
And what about the, because it's the Salvation Army, what about the spiritual side of things? How did that sit with you? Was that a comfortable fit for you, going to chapel and learning about God and forgiveness and that type of thing?
It was hard at first, but I grew up with a bit of a Christian background. I never lost it. It's not forced upon you.
No,
it's what you want from it. You take what you need, and what you don't need, you just leave behind, or
And what about you personally?
For me personally, I actually get a bit. I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. Really, it's an amazing life, an amazing journey having God in my life.
Yeah. And I should tell the listeners now that when Jason's saying that, he's got a big smile on his face, so it means a lot to you?
It does, yes.
Yeah. And is this something which was absent during your first day, perhaps, at Dooralong?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you go to the chapel on Wednesday nights, I think, isn't it?
Yes, we go to chapel of a Wednesday night, and we go to church of a Sunday, which I quite enjoy. It's a big part of my life now, and I love it every day.
Yeah. So you would say you now have a relationship with God, or you're starting a relationship with God?
Yeah, I have a good relationship with God.
Excellent.
And I love even hearing the word God.
Yeah. Yeah. It brings comfort and reassurance, and gives you that hope that seemed to be lacking in your life for so long. Yeah. Now we'll talk. We're going to have a break for some music, and then we'll talk about Jason's hopes for the future. But before that, I know you've got a message for not just the staff, but for all the other sort of guys and girls down there at Dooralong. So, what is it you want to say to them, Jason?
I'd just like to say a big thank you to all the staff, and especially Craig Stevens too, for just opening his arms and his heart to welcome all the people that need the help.
Look, it's hard, but what's the word? They are the hands and feet of Jesus, and they're just sort of reflecting Jesus. And there's, Jesus used to have open arms for everybody. And like you say, Craig and all his team and all the guys down there, they're such good ambassadors for God, aren't they?
They are.
They're terrific. Wonderful. So we thank them. And you learn as much, well, not as much, but you learn a lot from the other sort of people doing the course with you, I guess.
Yes, you do.
Yeah, and we've met some wonderful people who've shared with us what's happened, and it's like they say, until you talk to somebody and understand their journey and walk a mile or two in their shoes, you just don't know what people have lived with. We jump to stereotyping so easily, don't we? Oh, they're drug addicts, or they're an alcoholic, but then you scratch away at the surface and you think, wow, I can understand what's happened for you in your life. And we learn those stories every Wednesday. Look, I'm talking too much. We're going to break for some music, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about where Jason is now and where he hopes to be, I don't know, 12 months, 2 years from now. But we're talking to Jason. We were talking just before the break of Jason's sort of second stay at Dooralong and how things are different for him now. And one big difference is the word God. God is now a really big part of Jason's life. So you are more hopeful for the future now than you've been for many, many years, I would guess, Jason?
Yes, that's right, yeah.
Yeah. So you've been at Dooralong the second time around for how long now?
It'd be close to 7, 8 months.
Right. And it's going well for you?
Yeah, it's going great.
It's going great. So what are your hopes for the future?
I really haven't looked that far ahead. I live for the day and the moment, just for the
You're saying you wanted to be able to help some of the guys down, some of the new guys maybe at Dooralong.
Yeah, I've talked about staying on and trying to be a mentor.
Yeah. What does a mentor do?
I meant like to help the new participants and that, virtually when they come through, sit by them, by their side, and help them virtually, work out their, help them with their problems.
Because that first week or so, that first month probably, they could be angry, they could be, all sorts of emotions for them. It's probably a really testing time for them that first month, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's just virtually trying to find your feet again.
Yeah, because there you are, you've sort of been uprooted maybe from your friends and from your family, and although we talk about the bush as a wonderful thing for a city boy, it perhaps, really quite unusual for them, and here they are, sort of miles away from anywhere, not doing drugs and doing all this therapy. Yeah, it could be a challenging time, and it would be nice for some of the older guys who've been there a while just to come alongside and sort of share some of their wisdom.
Yeah.
And that's what you hope to do down at Dooralong.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. And your pathway or your journey with God, you will continue that, you think, when you leave Dooralong eventually? Yeah.
Definitely. That's something will be in my future.
Yeah. That is a definite.
Yeah, that is.
So although you don't know where God's going to lead you, you know that He's going to be leading, doing the leading.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. And that's different again from the first time you left Dooralong.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, if you had any words of advice for people who are just hopeless, we get people ringing up the station, not so much saying, look, I need help, but they're ringing up about brothers or sisters or children, and they're just, they have no hope. Are there any words of hope that you can give somebody who's sort of living with somebody, a son or a brother, who's just living in that dark side that you were living?
Just virtually never give up, and just stay by their side no matter what.
Just be there.
Yeah, just be there. Just listen.
Just listen, and if it's appropriate, if the topic comes up, mention Dooralong.
Yeah. There isn't. Yeah, Dooralong would be. Yeah.
Yeah, and reach out, because there is help available.
Yes, there is.
Yeah. So for somebody who's done a complete 180 degrees, you're now no longer living with the devil. You're now no longer living on that dark side. You're clean. What's it like to be clean after, well, you started at 15, so we're talking 25 years, something, aren't we? What's it like to be clean for the first time after so many years?
It's an amazing life, yeah. It's very amazing. I wouldn't ask for anything different.
No. So all those things that, like the sound of birds, the sound of nature, or just looking at the beautiful countryside, you would never have had time to do that before, would you? Or you just wouldn't have been interested?
Oh, no, I just wouldn't have been interested, and everything was just going too fast for me.
Yeah. Now you've got time to sit back, watch nature, listen to nature, and be grateful to God.
Yeah, because it's one of God's greatest creations, I reckon, is Mother Nature at its best.
Yeah, and He's a good part of it is down at Dooralong. It's a beautiful place, isn't it?
Yes, that is correct. Yeah.
Okay, look, it's been terrific talking to you, Jason. It would be good if we could catch up sometime further down the track and see how things are going with you. That would be really great. But we'd like to thank you for your honesty, and as always, and sincerely, we do pray God's blessing upon your life, and that He has a direction and a destination for you, and we just pray that He makes it obvious to you, and that you are receptive to that prompting from God. And so it's been a delight to talk to you, Jason. Thanks for coming in.
Yeah, thank you very much.
You've been listening to an encore presentation of the Dooralong stories, which can be heard live every Wednesday at 10 a.m. and repeated at 8 p.m. Sunday and 1 a.m. Wednesday, right here on 94.9 rema.cc.